You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 84, How to Get More Out of Your Oopses. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, my friend. Welcome. You are awesome. Thank you for being here for another episode. How are you doing at not being a sedentary exerciser? That research is so interesting. Have you thought of a non-overwhelming and fun way to make sure you move every 25 minutes or so? I love my little silent timer that I have on my desk at work. I always set it for 17 minutes. Not sure why. 17 just seems like my lucky number, I guess. A lot of the time I just stand up. But a lot of the time I walk around the office or take a lap around the outside of the building. That's a little harder in February if everything is coated in ice or mud. But I've been doing it every day for over a year now and honestly and truly notice a big difference. I used to leave work feeling drained and headachy and sort of everywhere achy, and all I wanted to do was go home and vegetate. And now I generally feel somewhat refreshed when I leave, or at least like there's something left in the tank. And I really think it's because I was nice enough to my body to not keep it prisoner in a chair for 10 hours. And my mind and my eyeballs also appreciate the variety. It keeps them healthy. Today we're going to talk about getting more out of your oopses. We all have them, so we might as well benefit from them, right? Sometimes the benefits are more obvious, like I think I'm a fairly good online grocery pickup shopper now because I once thought I ordered a regular bag of rice and 5 bananas. And I got a 25-pound bag of rice and 5 bunches of bananas, which was 14 pounds of bananas. And we all tend to take for granted the things we just know, but can't believe our kids don't know. Like, yes, there's a reason why you can't put dish soap in the dishwasher. Yes, it's important to separate your whites from your colored laundry. Yes, you really do want to stop and put on sunscreen before you leave. Yes, you should wear gloves. Or yes, you should always approach pouring salad dressing with extreme caution. We've earned our knowledge of these things, and the mistakes have made us all the wiser. But you extract all the value you can out of every misstep you take. Is every less than perfect moment an awesome opportunity to spiral up and close the gap between who you wish you were and who you're actually being? Okay, I don't know about every moment. That's like a lot, and it doesn't sound very fun, but I do think we're leaving a lot of awesome and enjoyably enlightening advantages on the table. There is a pile of gifts hidden in plain sight waiting for you to unwrap and put to good use. The first way we can get more out of our less than great moments is to, quote, needs work it. Back in episode 68, I talked a lot about gold medal winning rifle shooter Lanny Basham. He recommends we use the phrase, "that's like me," when we do something the way we wanted to. It's so powerful. Go back and listen to that episode if you missed it. Aim, shoot, hit a bullseye. That's like me. It's awesome. Lanny Basham has a son named Troy, who's also a rifle shooter. And Troy says, top performers protect their self-image by having a planned thought process after performing a specific task. The process has 3 steps to it and is referred to as reloading. The purpose of reloading is to refresh the brain with the thought process of what you want, while not getting caught up in what just happened. Successful people do not become engulfed in poor performances, end quote. When we do something poorly, the first step is to not get engulfed in the poor performance. Definitely not to consider it part of your identity. This happened, therefore I'm undisciplined, a junk food addict, willpowerless, selfish, socially retarded, too scared to speak up, lazy, alone, never going to get it right. No way. We are not going there. But we can't just ignore it either. That's not a way to get the net positive from it. If we follow Troy Basham's advice, we reload. We perform a task well, we say Lanny Basham's phrase, "That's like me." If we underperform, we simply say, "Needs work." No big deal. Could have done it better. Needs work. Troy Basham then talks about going through a full mental rehearsal to finish it off in your mind. Think through what you could have done differently all along the way to get the outcome that you wanted, and then replay the entire scenario in your mind, having done it the way you wish you had done it. Then, rather than ingraining the negative behavior in your mind, you imprint the positive version. Troy says that what you allow yourself to think about after a task matters. After you've rehearsed with your chosen correction, you simply let it go. Cool. I've known this high-performance model from Lanny and Troy for almost 2 years now. I've even talked about it on the podcast before. I think it's great. Every night, I do this little 2-minute self-reflection before I go to bed. I write down one thing that was notable or story-worthy from the day, one thing I did well, one thing that needs work, one new thing I learned, and a few things I'm grateful for. Sometimes I add a few more things when I'm really on my A game. Anyhow, I've been writing down the one needs work thing every day for more than a year. I thought I got it. I was pretty consistent with it. And for whatever reason, actually, I know the reason, I'll get to it in a minute, but it just dawned upon me a couple of weeks ago that I never took the extra 20 seconds to think through how I could have done it differently. Most of the time, I just wrote down something from my to-do list that didn't get done. Have you seen that meme that's one of those like old-timey ladies and it says, "My best fiction writing is my to-do list"? Anyway, so I thought I was doing this helpful practice, but I totally wasn't. I could have gotten so much more out of my daily misses and made way more progress if I had completed the practice and actually thought through what I could have done differently and how I wish it had gone. So I hope that sharing that with you helps you make the progress that you want to make. There's a big difference between writing down "didn't plant potatoes," which was one of my entries, and actually thinking through why I didn't go spend a few minutes hanging out with my kids, what exactly I could have done differently, and what it would have looked like if I did. It's so powerful because not only does it imprint being the kind of person you want to be in your brain, but the next time that choice point comes up, you can recognize it in the moment, that it is a choice and that a few minutes with your kids right now is actually more important than getting the dishwasher loaded. Or that those cookies that your neighbor just brought over that you can see and smell right now will actually give you less pleasure if you eat them than the pleasure you get from self-mastery, from doing what you said you would do and being who you said you would be, especially when it's tempting not to. Then the neighborly gift becomes not the taste of the cookies, but the recognition that it's a choice and the opportunity to show yourself that you can be your best self right now, which is profoundly joyful. Recognizing in the moment the choice point that allows you to actually act, even in a small way, in alignment with what's most important to you is huge. And one of the best ways to figure that out is to mess up and then take the few seconds to replay in your mind what you could have done differently. I missed that for a long time, so I hope you don't. Hey there, I wanted to quickly interrupt and let you know that it's so much less of a struggle to consistently dominate your health choices when the thoughts you think naturally nudge you toward what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking to more consistently rock your healthy behaviors, I have a completely free 18-minute mini course for smart women like you who know that sometimes a quick mind flip can go a long way. Click the link in the show notes or go to healthcourage.ck/page/mini for this free mini course on 6 thoughts people who consistently rock their health choices think, and start putting one of them to good use inside your head today. Another thing I've noticed since I started this is that, I would typically write down something from my to-do list that I didn't do. I had almost 2 years worth of, quote, needs work items. I didn't significantly beat myself up over them or anything, but I felt kind of bad that I was always sort of falling short every single day. But as I've actually started thinking through what I could have done differently, I realized that most of the things that were my go-to to write down because they were the most easily identifiable, the things I thought needed work, didn't. I actually made the right choice by spending my time on something else. I had my priorities straight. There were just to-do items left over at the end of the hours. And that's okay. It's sort of relaxing and feels kind of good to recognize that. And it gave me an opportunity to look deeper than not cleaning out the fridge, to not taking a minute to appreciate someone, not celebrating something I did well, not speaking up, not listening with full presence, not moving toward fear fast enough, not appreciating the beauty all around me, or not expressing enough gratitude. Those things are way more important at the end of the day to think about at the literal end of the day. Okay, I love the book High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. Have you read it? There's a ton of good stuff in there. If you did everything he suggests, you'd have certain rituals or practices every time you walk through a doorway, sit in a desk chair, change from doing one activity to another, look at your phone, wait in line, take a shower, and probably way more that I can't think of right now. It's a lot. It's awesome, but it's a lot. Anyway, going back to the shower thing. Well, in the chapter about generating energy, he says that most people who want an edge look outside of themselves. But if you can access more of the energy you already have stored inside of you, the whole world is yours. What do you think? Is he right? There's more to it than this, but he says that positive emotions are a prerequisite for high performance and you need to be able to generate them for yourself. He says that he asked a group of scientifically validated high performers how they generated positive emotions and if they had any habits that contributed to staying in a more joyful state more often. He says that there are 6 things that high-performing people tend to do every day. They, 1, prime the emotion they want to experience. They deliberately think about how they want to feel during the events they have planned that day, and then they ask themselves questions or visualize themselves feeling that way while doing those things. 2, they anticipate positive outcomes from their actions. 3, they imagine possible stressful situations and how their best self might gracefully handle them. They're realistic about hitting snags, and they prepare themselves for difficulties. 4, they seek to insert appreciation, surprise, wonder, and challenge into their day. 5, they try to steer social interactions toward goodness and positive experiences. And 6, they reflect regularly on all that they're grateful for. This data about high-performing people led Brendon Burchard to put mental triggers into his morning to create more energy and encourage more positive emotions in his upcoming day. His practice is that every morning in the shower, he asks himself these 3 questions. 1, what can I be excited about today? 2, what or who might trip me up or cause stress, and how can I respond in a positive way from my highest self? And 3, who can I surprise today with a thank you, a gift, or a moment of appreciation? Pretty good, right? I love those questions, and I decided I wanted to adopt them ASAP. I thought about laminating them and putting them in my shower, but then I decided I didn't want to do it in the shower, so I put them in my Heroic app that I do every morning. If you want to know more about the Heroic app, it's what John Mackey, founder of Whole Foods, calls the best self-development platform in the world. That's a really good description. I'm a level 2 certified Heroic coach, and I would be more than happy to tell you about it or walk you through how I use it in my life. The app has 3 areas, energy, work, and love. So I thought these 3 questions fit beautifully into those categories. What can I be excited about today? Into the energy category. What might trip me up today? Into work. And who can I surprise with appreciation today? Into the love category. Brendon says he asks question number 2 out loud in the second person. In the book, he says that he'll say out loud, Brendon, what might stress you out today, buddy? And how would your best self handle it if it came up? Or, Brendon, when X happens today, think about Y, and then do Z. He also might imagine himself dealing with the issue and say, well, there's Brendon in this meeting feeling a little nervous. His heart is beating too fast, and he's focused only on himself. He needs to relax now, get present, and focus on asking people questions and being of service to them. He says that in this situation, talking to yourself in the second person can be more powerful because it gives you some distance, like you're coaching another person. I love asking myself these questions in the morning. When I first started doing them, it was the second question, the what or who might trip me up or cause stress, and how can I respond for my highest self? That question helped me connect the dots between anticipating and visualizing an oops ahead of time and identifying and revisualizing an oops after the fact. That's what made me realize I could get so much more out of thinking through specifics of mistakes or opportunities for improvement if you're optimistic, which I am, after the fact. They go so well together. And anticipating what might trip you up or stress you out ahead of time is huge, or as Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders would say, huge. It's a quick and easy way to think about what you have coming up in your day and what really matters to you. What you're trying to get 1% better at. What would success even look like? Could you have unknowingly set yourself up for failure? Let's say you've sworn off processed food and are excited about fueling your body with cleaner, more nutrient-dense fuel. You feel better and look better when you do. It's important to you and your long-term goals. You're committed to it. You've also got to run from dropping off the library books to getting the oil changed in the car to picking up the kids from school to taking something to an extended family member to driving a kid to lacrosse practice to picking up the grocery order, and you don't get home from all of that till around 6:45 p.m. How likely are you to succeed and feel great about yourself if you don't ask yourself this question in the morning versus if you do? If you do, it gives you a chance to make a preemptive strike against your stumbling blocks, to actually be more of who you hope to be. People will think that you have superpowers. You totally do, but they were pretty easy to come by in the form of asking yourself a simple question in the morning. I think the morning question and visualization and the night question and visualization go so well together. And we're talking about like 1 to 2 minutes of your day here combined. That's pretty high leverage. We're not expecting you to be perfect. We all do dumb things occasionally, and not dumb, but not optimal things frequently. That's okay, but I do think we can make the dumb things we do less dumb and the suboptimal things we do less suboptimal. Our highs get higher and our lows get higher too, if we make it a habit to extract more valuable data from our missteps. Every night that we think through what we could have done better, how we could have acted more from our best self, we make it easier every morning to anticipate what might trip us up that day and exactly how to avoid it. It's awesome. If you feel so inspired, I'd encourage you to not let your oopses slip by without a second thought. And definitely don't use them as a reason to be mean to yourself or as evidence that you're never going to be as healthy or as awesome as you wish you were. Use them as a gift. Extract the value from them, anticipate their return, reload, and fire with a little more precision next time. Thank you so much for being here today. Next week, we're going to talk about sneaky disruptors that might be secretly undermining your sleep. Until then, visualize yourself sidestepping stumbling blocks both before and after mistakes are made, and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.